are located in their respective universes.
Whoa, what she just hit him at? Oh, is that? Oh, I had to go back on that.
Statement is not absurd. With all that said, back to Speed. We don't know how far the universes that hold the Dark Zone or the Garden of Light are from our universe, nor where they are located.
Yeah. She a little bit too low there. What you doing down there?
In their respective universes.
Hit karate chopping him in his inner thigh. I see y'all. Welcome back to another video. Today it's gonna be something a little different. We got a request to look at how strong is Precure by Brock Anime Club. Give special thanks to Blaze Runner Samus 4.0 for giving me the request to do this. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get into it.
Those were the words of the producer of Futari wa Precure, Takashi Yoshio, when he noticed that both boys and girls dream of saving the world when they're young. With this in mind, Precure became a physical combat match girl show, and it was this aspect, along with being a great show, that took what was already.
Oh, so this is pretty much, well, to me, I think, ain't this like a pretty much another version, like, it's something like Sailor Moon. Somewhat. I never really watched Sailor Moon, because, you know, the bright colors, like, But let's see what's going on. Interesting.
Supposed to be a 26-episode series and turn it into an ongoing multi-billion-dollar franchise. I thought I should honor that aspect of the franchise and power scale Precure. There are a few things to get out of the way before I actually start the scaling. First of all, what is power scaling? Well, you can probably tell from the title of the video, but it's about determining the strength, speed, and abilities of characters. The abilities would be mostly ones that pertain to combat, and strength is usually expressed as attack potency. To get what I mean when I say attack potency, imagine there's a guy who takes a nuke to the face and it doesn't even scratch him. Then you come up to that guy and one-shot him. That means your punch is more powerful than a nuke despite the fact that you didn't cause a nuke-sized explosion. Power scaling can also just be used to rank in-universe without the need to say exactly how strong or fast a character is. To keep it pretty Cure-related, I don't need to know what tier of strength Cure uses in order to know that she was the strongest Sweet Cure for most of the series. If you want more examples of power scaling, I recommend watching Seth the Programmer and his compatriots, as he was the one who got me into power scaling. For Precure, durability equals attack potency, at least for their physical attacks, and power increases tend to boost AP and speed by the same amount. This can be seen by the fact that usually the opponent who is overwhelmingly stronger than the Cures is also faster than them. There are also power-ups, notably the two I'll talk about later, that flat out say both strength and speed were increased. There are a few exceptions to that.
I like this kind of animation.
Such as the Red Heart Seed from Heartcatch only providing a speed boost, and a boost in Doki Doki, which I will mention further into the video. The other order of business is which team am I going to cover?
Doki Doki.
There are over 55 Cures, and going over each of them would take forever. To keep things simple, I'll primarily go over the original two Cures, Black and White, but we'll also cover Shiny Luminous, who joins the team in Max Heart, hence why the three of them are referred to as.
There's Black and White, Luminous, and Light. Does the superheroes go off colors and shades? You know, I'm gonna let them keep talking. I never heard of this show, but me stopping ain't gonna help me find out more.
As the Max Heart team. I'll also give some of the scaling for the All-Stars movies, which in turn will scale the other Cures. For those unfamiliar with the franchise, the All-Star films are the crossover films of the different Precure teams. The Max Heart Cures are usually portrayed as the strongest team, though even if you don't believe that, the main takeaway is that they do scale to the other teams, and said teams are usually scaled up in power for these films. An example of being scaled up is that the Heartcatch team were around planet level give or take in their own series, but then they are portrayed as being above the Maho girls, who were able to easily deal with a being who had the power of the sun. Lastly, some of the topics I'll bring up here require a lot of explanation. For the sake of not making the video longer than it needs to be, I'll link the full explanations of 3 of these topics in the description, while providing simple ones in the video. With all that said out of the way, let's get on with it! According to the Precure Encyclopedia Volume 1, becoming Precure grants the girls dozens of times the power of a normal human. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, that's not the end of it. The girls are clearly above dozens of times the strength of a normal person, though to be fair, it never specifies how many dozens that increase is. It's kinda like Superman's faster than a speeding bullet saying. It's not wrong, but it doesn't fully encompass what they can do. Nagisa and Honoka are Cure Black and Cure White respectively. Unlike most other Cure teams,
Let's go, Cure Black. Black power.
they need to be together in order to transform. They
Really?
also need to be together in order to use any of their special attacks.
Well, that sucks. As a villain, I already know how to beat them. Separate them. Yes. Do they go to the bathroom together? Like, do they do everything together? Because as long as you get them separated, it's over for them. They done. I think that's a weird weakness and a pretty big weakness at that.
That being said, they are strong by themselves and can enhance their own punches/kicks. Being apart will not weaken them, and neither will them arguing.
Never mind.
In fact, the first time they had a fight, they actually made a stronger attack. That being said, Nagisa did say they were stronger once they actually became friends. My point is that their powers aren't that affected by emotions, as seen in the second Max Heart movie where their argument didn't make them weaker, it just messed up their teamwork. So whether they be strangers in a fight, or lovers, their powers wouldn't vary that much. Together they can make barriers, though based on other cures and things that happen in All-Stars, they can likely make smaller barriers individually. They can breathe in space, punch non-corporeal beings like when they hit Cage who was an actual shadow, and have natural healing. One aspect that future series introduced was that if a cure took enough damage, she would demorph. That doesn't seem to be the case for Black and White considering some of the beatings they've taken, one of the more notable ones being when they fought the Dark Witch. They can also move in frozen time and to multiple levels. What I mean is, the Splash Star cures were shown to be able to move around freely in frozen time even when untransformed.
Well, we know they can beat Dio.
Then in Hugto, they were frozen in time and it was only when they transformed that they could move around. So yeah, all Precure can move around when time is stopped. Neat. They should also have absorption resistance going off of the Fresh Cures and Cure Echo. Both the Fresh Cures and Cure Echo were able to resist being absorbed by fusion. Very notable in Cure Echo's case as we saw how fast that absorption could be. On to their special attacks. Their main attack in the original series is the Marble Screw. They come together to create a beam with power exceeding any of their physical attacks. How much stronger is unknown, however, as Black and White are equals and this is a combination of their powers, you could say it's 2 times stronger, but that is just speculation. Next is...
You know what that attack remind me of? The Twin Dragon Slayers from Fairy Tail. When they do that unison attack, that's kind of remind me of that.
Is Rainbow Therapy, which isn't really an attack as it purifies possessed people. After that is the Rainbow Storm, a beam attack far stronger than the Marble Screw that they use when they wear the rainbow bracelets. Once they got their powers back in Max Heart, they came back stronger than ever and the Marble Screw was upgraded to the Marble Screw Max. Using the Sparkle bracelets, they can produce an even stronger attack with the Marble Screw Max Sparkle. With their new teammate, Shiny Luminous, they can do the Extreme Luminario and the Extreme Luminario Sparkle. Speaking of Luminous, let's go over her. As the Dark King was about to die for the second time, he let out one last attack to mortally wound the Queen of Light. To prevent her death, she split her life into different beings, one of which is Hikari Kucho. With Poron, she becomes Shiny Luminous. As you can tell by her name, she isn't actually a cure, though is treated as one retroactively. She is on par with base Black and White, and was possibly more powerful than them at first considering she moved so fast they thought she disappeared. People sometimes think she's weak, but this isn't actually true, and more so due to her nature about not fighting, though she will fight if she needs to, such as when she kicked the Sakena. She has the powers of the Queen of Light, meaning she has the power of light and can heal people. She was the first Precure member to have barriers be her specialty, providing her much more defense than Black and White ever could. She also has her attack, the Heart Heal action. This paralyzes opponents, leaving them open to further attacks. It is possible that it actually does damage to much weaker opponents, as it did seem to defeat many cages in New Stage 2, though it is possible that was a special case, with it being a shadow against an attack powered by the power of light. With Poron's sister Lilun, Luminous is amped by the power to create and can use the Heart Teal Brooch to create stronger barriers. That is the Max Heart Cures. The Cures also have power-ups. I'll be focusing on the ones that they have easy access to rather than the situational ones. To get those out of the way, Gold Forms powered them up, Phoenix Form was far superior to Sparkle Bracelets, and the Rainbow Form is far superior to that. Their original power-up was the Rainbow Bracelets, and their second, which they still have to this day, are the Sparkle Bracelets. Both enhance speed and strength considerably. The Rainbow Bracelets gave them the power of light, and the Sparkle Bracelets gave them the power to create. The Sparkle Bracelets are superior to the Rainbow Bracelets, and this can be determined for reasoning. Poron was the one who granted the Cures the Rainbow Bracelets, and even then, he didn't put all his power into it until the final battle against the Dark King. In Max Heart, he got stronger, and yet when they faced off against Baldez, Poron granting them the power of the Rainbow Bracelets, which he should still be able to do, was never even considered, and instead they sought out the Sparkle Bracelets. You could even consider the Extreme Luminario to be stronger than a full power Rainbow Storm, as it had the additional power of light that Hikari provides. In which case, that is more proof of the Sparkle Bracelets being grander than the Rainbow Bracelets, as the Sparkle Bracelet Cures scale above the Extreme Luminario. But how much does it power them up by? Nagisa does make a statement about it giving them 100 times the energy, but this is followed up by her saying a nonsense number, so it's not exactly the most reliable of statements. This requires more of a breakdown. Back in the original series, the Cures faced the 3 Seeds of Darkness. The Seeds were stronger than the Cures, stole the Prism Stones to get massively stronger, and then proceeded to fuse together into a being known as Majin. The Seeds were about the same in power, so that would be at bare minimum a 3 times multiplier. But fusions in fiction tend to produce a being far greater than the sum of its parts. Precure is no exception, as while there was that one case
Ooh, I like that effect. That galaxy looking aura going on. Okay, I see y'all Precure. Even though I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of hard to, focus on it. Cause I'm like, wait a minute. I would have to know the gist of the whole series. I'm gonna look it up later.
where it was simple addition, we also have Infinity Silhouette, the fusion of the 4 Heartcatch Cures, whose power was far above what simply combining the Cures would have granted. The Cures with the Rainbow Bracelets beat up this fusion, then they got Poron's full power to beat the enhanced Dark King. The Sparkle Bracelets should be superior to an even stronger version of the full power Rainbow Bracelets. Yeah, Sparkle Bracelets are very powerful, and that 100 times statement is actually looking like it might be a bit of downplay now, huh? The Cures certainly do not lack when it comes to speed. In fact, despite being warriors of light, light is pretty much a snail to them. Yes, fictional characters can move above the speed of light. They aren't limited like we are. For some context as to
I didn't even know that.
how fast the speed of light is, light can travel around the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second. Now let's look at some of the light feats that the franchise has. Fresh had Cure Peach moving faster than a camera flash, while Heartcatch had Cure Marine intercepting a camera flash and Cure Blossom dodging a beam of light. The Maho Girls has their Diamond Eternal attack launching enemies into the depths of space in seconds, and their Eternal Rainbow attack which was able to send Desmost flying into another galaxy in 26 seconds. Assuming this galaxy was the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the closest galaxy to our own, then the attack would be moving at over 3 trillion times the speed of light. I also want to quickly mention a speed feat from the Maho Girls manga. The manga are separate continuities from the anime, so it won't be used in the scale, but I thought it would be nice to bring up. In the manga, Liko, and yes it's Liko and not Riko, uses magic to move the stars in order to ask Mirai on a date, to which Mirai answers the same way. This is a powerful feat, but let's focus on the speed. Liko moved 44 stars, and we see from Mirai's answer that the stars moved in the same panel as she cast the spell. Using the average speaking rate and my own test, Liko's spell would have taken about 4 seconds to say. Assuming they were the closest 44 stars to Earth, not counting the sun obviously, then the magic would be going nearly 106 million times the speed of light just to reach the last star, let alone moving them. Star Twinkle has the Cures match up against Arborn's spaceship mech and face many spaceships in the Star Twinkle solo film. That would mean they would have comparable speeds in their base, let alone Twinkle Imagination and Twinkle Style. Yes, I know they use Twinkle Style in the movie, but the Iron fight shows that their bases are comparable in speed to spaceships. And yes, the ships are fast. it's not just them warping the distances. It was specifically mentioned only Fuwa and Darkness have warping capabilities that grant, meaning the ships are physically traveling most of these distances. So how fast are these ships? Well, it is mentioned they can travel to distant galaxies, and more relevant is that Earth is mentioned as being at the edge of the universe by Lotta. The Starry Sky Galaxy is where the Star Palace is, which is where the Star Princesses reside. It is there they created the universe, so it can be seen as the center of the universe.
I ain't gonna lie, I will probably watch like one episode of this. It's so colorful.
Ships travel from the Starry Sky Galaxy to Earth in what seems to be under a day. This would result in speeds in tens of trillions of times the speed of light. All of the speeds I just mentioned would be upscaled when put into the All-Star films, as even cures who do not have any faster than light feeds can keep up with and are faster than some of these cures. It's the same as the power example I mentioned before. So black and white scale to that and that's it? Not quite, as they have the best speed for themselves. Before he dies for the first time, the Dark King launches the Seeds of Darkness from the Dark Zone to Earth in a matter of seconds. He does a similar feat as he is dying for a second time and launches an attack from Earth to the Garden of Light. So, how far are these locations from Earth? We don't know exactly, but we can get a pretty good idea. They should be around equal distances from the Earth due to light and dark being two sides of the same coin, as it were. On the official toy website for Futarawa Precure, the character profiles for both Meppel and Meppel refer to the Garden of Light as being in another dimension. The specific word used in Japanese is Jigen, which, by looking at other properties like Tenchimuya and Neptunia, is referring to the universe.
他の星ではなくて異世界です。別の次元なんですが。こことは別の次元に、ここととてもよく似た世界があるということを。そうです。異次元なんてものは。
I was finna say, that last clip, I was like, I don't think this is the same anime. It's not as colorful. With this anime, it seems like they used all the colors of the rainbow, so instead of choosing like normal color range or a darker color range, they choose the highest setting. Like some, let's say you got green, they would choose lime green, or what would you call it? Fluorescent green or some shit. You know, like the Atlanta Hawks, highlighted green. There we go. Or is it highlighted yellow? I'm just keep going. It's already long enough.
So the main Precure universe would consist of 3 universe-sized realms. This point could be a bit contentious, so I'll quickly go over why it should be used. First, this is from the official Toei website and no other official material specifies the location of either the Dark Zone or the Garden of Light. Light novels are untranslated, so maybe there's something there, but nothing in the guidebooks, which I know thanks to a friend, as well as online translation tools. Secondly, it doesn't contradict the series. Some might point to some statements referring to the universe near the end of the first series, but this is actually quite like Dragon Ball, which is also by Toei. In Dragon Ball, Universe 7 is composed of multiple universe-sized realms, and yet when Goku and Beerus nearly destroyed all those realms, the old Kai referred to one universe. Thus, referring to the Precure universe as just the universe does not dismiss the fact that it consists of several universe-sized realms. Third, them being separate universes would explain the whole one day on the Garden of Light equals 100 years on Earth, as they occupy different time spaces. Before Poron's presence equalized them anyway. Lastly, Fresh Precure supports this by introducing us to parallel worlds. Inside one world, there are many worlds. The example shown is 2 mirrors facing each other and love's reflection being reflected many times, if not an unlimited amount, which I'll talk about later. Each parallel world would be in its own parallel universe, as Earth is a parallel world to these worlds and it ain't the only thing in the universe. This isn't to say that the Garden of Light is in a parallel universe, just that the idea of more universes is a thing in Precure and that the website's statement is not absurd. With all that said, back to speed. We don't know how far the universes that hold the Dark Zone or the Garden of Light are from our universe, nor where they are located in their respective universes.
Whoa, what she just hit him at? Oh, is that? Oh. I had to go back on that.
Statement is not absurd. With all that said, back to speed. We don't know how far the universes that hold the Dark Zone or the Garden of Light are from our universe, nor where they are located.
Yeah. She a little bit too low there. What you doing down there?
In their respective universes.
Hit karate chopping him in his inner thigh. I see y'all.
As a low ball, I will simply use the diameter of our universe. Our observable universe is about 93 billion light years long. The feats were in seconds, so let's give 10 seconds even though it seemed to be less than that. That gives nearly 300 quadrillion times the speed of light. Again, that is lowballing. The Cures, even in base, are aware of the Dark King's attacks, and as mentioned before, with just the regular rainbow bracelets, scale above Majin, who should be much faster than Dark King. Now onto the power of Precure. Just how strong are they? During the final episodes of Futarawa, the Seeds of Darkness obtain the Prism Stones. Once they gain the power of the stones, the passive energy of the Seeds of Darkness is more than enough to destroy the Precure universe, so all 3 realms. I say more than enough as the Queen of Light was going beyond her limit to try and stop this energy from destroying everything, and even she couldn't contain it all as the entire universe shook. This likely includes all the parallel universes from Fresh, as the All-Star movies reveal that the fairies know about each other, meaning that they know about the parallel worlds. This means Dark King would also know about the parallel worlds and likely wouldn't let them off the hook, considering he wanted the Prism Stone so he could have still, quiet darkness. Again, this is just their passive power, not even remotely close to them trying or their full power. They get even stronger by fusing into Majin, Rainbow Bracelet Cures stomp Majin, Dark King absorbs Majin and slaps the Rainbow Bracelet Cures, and finally, Poron gives his full power to the Rainbow Bracelets, which is strong enough for the Cures to win. This feat is actually even more impressive given the fact that they would likely be destroying the entire space-time continuum. To quickly go over why that's impressive, that would mean they are also destroying time, aka something of a higher dimension.
Hold on! Don't you remember when you met Zero Lady Tokimi? You were so far outside Zero's sphere of knowledge that
I like this series, but I like the other version of the series. Pretty much when
she couldn't believe.
he goes to like the past or something, and they got like these hard to describe. I don't know why it's so hard to describe it when I watched it like 5 times. You got, I know it's a dark elf that was in the past. He was around. She was a piece.
Believe you existed.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm getting distracted.
The existence of any higher dimension is a theoretical impossibility, beyond her comprehension.
That is, destroying a single time-space of universal size is infinitely more powerful than destroying infinite numbers of universes. Yes, fiction has different tiers of infinity. Infinity plus 1 is in full effect. The Cures are without a doubt this level when it comes to using the Miracle Lights, as even a small amount of the Miracle Lights allow the Doki Doki Cures to travel to the future. They could also scale to this in their base in the All-Star films, as they needed about the same amount of Miracle Lights to be fusioned for the first time, and he temporarily held back their combination attack. Then, during the fight against what should have been a stronger fusion in New Stage, the Cures beat him in base without any trouble. A quick aside is that this might also suggest the Cures have immeasurable speed with the Miracle Lights, as they have the time-traveling power fueling them. Okay, they're that level in All-Stars, but what about my claim about the universal feat involving time? Well, here are a few reasons to think that time is involved. As I mentioned before, the Cures can move in frozen time, so they have a connection to time. Secondly, these feats cause rips and tears in space itself. The theory of space-time is that space and time are linked, so affecting one on a grand scale would naturally affect the other on a similar scale. The equalizing of the time differences between the 3 universe-sized realms is really the big reason for thinking this. Equalizing the time of separate time spaces would be the level we're looking for, and that happens to be in this series. The Dark Zone beings were 100 years behind Mipple as they were affected by the time differences of Earth and the Garden of Light. Yet no time gap like that happens to them again, despite there clearly being times when none of them were on Earth. More explicitly, it is directly stated that the reason why the Garden of Light's time and Earth times become equal was because of Poron's power. Poron's power is used for the Rainbow Bracelets and later for Shining Luminous. Luminous later also uses the power of Lulin to amp herself with the power to create, and uses the Heartseal Brooch to create stronger barriers. A reminder that Lulin is Poron's sister, so it's likely she has time abilities as well, which is even supported by the titles the two have. Prince of Light that leads to the future for Poron, and Princess of Light weaving the future for Lulin. Even with this amp, Black and White are usually above Luminous in base. With all this, I think it is clear that time is involved in this feat, meaning it would be at least Universal Plus going off of the versus battle tiering. Now that that feat is more or less wrapped up, I wanted to bring up another subject of power in Precure. Infinite power. I know Universal Plus could technically be considered that already, but I want to go over the statements of infinite power in the series. First, we need to establish that infinity actually means infinity. I know that may sound weird, but infinity doesn't always mean infinity in anime/manga.
It can literally just mean very great, right? That's also another thing with infinite, especially in Japanese, stories. They use infinite, omnipotent, all that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
It just means very great. Sometimes it can even mean strongest in the verse or strongest in existence sometimes. So you do need to take that kind of interpretation into account when you're considering these.
With an episode title like, All Hearts Are One, I Am the Strongest Precure, for the episode where Infinite Silhouette shows up, you might think it's just using the greatest power interpretation. While that could be the case, we do get some clarity in Fresh Precure. When describing what Infinity, the unlimited memory, is, Setsuna gives this example.
たくさん野菜を入れようとしても袋が小さいと破れてしまうでしょ。でももしそれが無限に入る袋だったら、その袋がインフィニティってことね。メビウスがインフィニティを手に入れたら、全世界を自分の管理下。
It's self-explanatory a little bit.
This is
the example she was giving.
the definition of infinite, so with that out of the way, let's see the different infinite scaling we can get. First, the fact that Mobius, a supercomputer, thought the best way to rule over all the parallel worlds was to use Chiffon, who is infinity, leads to some interesting conclusions about how many parallel universes there are. Either it was just so vast a number, and remember this would be vast for a highly advanced supercomputer, that infinity was the most efficient choice, or there are an infinite number of parallel universes, which is somewhat implied with Love's continued reflection in the parallel world explanation. This would adjust the Futaro feat I mentioned before, making them anywhere from multiversal, which is 1001 to any higher finite amount of separate spacetime continuums, to multiversal plus, which is to destroy an infinite amount of separate spacetime continuums. In All-Stars DX2, the Rainbow Jewel is stated to grant infinite power. Bottom obtains the jewel and then is defeated by the Rainbow form Cures, which they obtain from an amusement park's worth of people using the Miracle Lights. In DX3, the Cures themselves are much stronger and obtain a stronger version of the Rainbow forms from everyone on the planet using a Miracle Light. So, they surpassed infinite power in DX2, and then they largely surpassed themselves in DX3, and that's not even accounting for the fact that there are 4 more Cures in DX3 than in DX2. Heartcatch Precure provides us the most blatant statements of infinite power. This is obviously the case for Infinite Silhouette, who is stated repeatedly to have infinite power in the anime, the official website, the manga, and likely the light novel. I say likely as the light novel is not translated up to that part, but I don't see why they would change it, especially given the statement from the novel. She was so powerful that even the usually collected Yuri got a bit of a power high after the final battle against Dune. As Infinite Silhouette is the fusion of the Cures, or a combination of these powers in the manga, then even with it being an exponential increase, part of infinity is still infinity, so even the base Heartcatch Cures should have infinite power, just on a lower tier. Whether you believe the Heartcatch Cures ever scale above Infinite Silhouette in the All-Star films is debatable, as we aren't given anything definitive to say they have or haven't. The closest we have is the revived villains in DX3 stating they will showcase Black Hole's almighty power as they power up, only to be easily defeated by the Cures. Black Hole had the power of all the previous enemies the Cures faced, and we see that the beings he creates return to him, which would mean the energy Bottom had with the Rainbow Jewel went to him after DX2. He even temporarily held back the power of the Rainbow form Cures, so I believe it's fair to say he is above Infinite Silhouette. Even if the minions don't have his full power, they would still be insanely strong and at least put the Heartcatch Cures on the path to surpass Infinite Silhouette by the next few movies. If you don't believe that scale, it is at least likely that the Heartcatch Cures scale above full power Dune, who they needed to become Infinite Silhouette to beat. They were able to beat him up before he transformed, so it makes sense that after so much time has passed, they would be past.
Hey, if y'all make it to this point in the video, y'all legendary, cause this is gonna be one long of a video.
His transformation, and this is supported by a similar thing happening with another Cure team. In Doki Doki Precure, the Cures needed to transfer their powers and the powers of the 3 Sacred Treasures to Cure Heart so she could defeat Selfish Proto. Quite like the Heartcatch Cures did, if not more with the inclusion of the Sacred Treasures. Pantheon mode Cure Heart stronger than Infinite Silhouette? I'm sure that suggestion won't piss anyone off. Back on topic, in All-Stars Miracle Magic, Cure Miracle, the newest cure, can beat up Selfish Proto in base with no amps. So, if that is the case for Doki Doki, then it is reasonable that the Heartcatch team would surpass Dune. If it were just the anime, that would be it, but the official websites and light novel reveals a few other interesting statements. The website states that Dark Precure has immeasurable power. Said immeasurable power is equaled by and then surpassed by Cure Moonlight, who then also goes on to easily deal with a stronger Dark Precure, only having trouble when Dark Precure was getting help, and when she was having psychological issues from a certain revelation. Following them getting from translation notes of the Harketch Precure light novel, so take it with a grain of salt. That being said, the first chapter is translated and it does match with what the notes say, so I do have faith in them. According to the notes, Dune made a deal with the devil. Huh. Those desert devils make more sense now. Anyway, and he was granted infinite power. Prime Cure Flower matched a fully powered Dune, and the Harketch Cures were winning against a Dune who had regained his powers until he transformed and started punching the planet. And as I mentioned above, they should surpass him in the All-Star films. How many times beyond infinity is that? Oh yeah, the Harketch Mirage is also stated to have infinite power, so there's also that. So yeah, beyond universal, into multiverses, and infinite power. Tough girls indeed. And to think, Black and White had to work together to stop an elevator from falling in episode 2. Simpler times. Oh, who am I kidding? The universal feat I keep mentioning is from the same season, and it would still be absurdly powerful even if I didn't incorporate later seasons. With the tier of strength and speed given, now all that's left is to look at the progression. At the beginning of Max Heart,
So much pink.
Black and White get their powers back and they know they're stronger than before. Just how much stronger did they get? They surpassed their enhanced final attack from the last season. Valdez being stated to be their strongest opponent multiple times certainly helps, though that kind of skews that level of power with the sparkle bracelets rather than their new base forms. Really, it is a simple matter of reasoning. Poron was the one who granted the Cures the rainbow bracelets, which took them beyond Majin's level, and whose full power allowed them to surpass the Ant Dark King in the end. That same Poron is stated to have gotten stronger, like Meppel and Meppel did, and now is using his full power all the time with Hikari. Hikari being a person who has the power of light already, with said power of light being part of the power of light that was from the Queen of Light, who was stronger than the base Cures in the original series. Thus, Shine Luminous would be at least on the power level of the Rainbow Bracelet Cures. However, Black and White wouldn't be shocked by that level of power as they would have experienced it before, meaning it was something stronger than anything they felt before. Yep, they start the new season stronger than their strongest attack at the end of the last season. As for growth, they go from being at a disadvantage in fighting the Dark Denizens in physical combat to matching them individually twice. Then, there is the end of Max Heart. Valdez tanks a Marble Screw Max Sparkle and then powers up.
Nigga, that chin.
Used with the Resurrection.
That chin. God damn.
To Dark King. Previously, the other Denizens got a Dark Glow that brought them to the level of the Sparkle Bracelet Cures, so Valdez's power-up should at least be that, if not much stronger. After regaining their will to fight for a second time, the Cures with their Sparkle Bracelets are able to push through Valdez's attack, and push him back with just punches to the point where he powers up further and becomes the fully resurrected Dark King. That means the Cures surpass the boost of the Sparkle Bracelets and the power of the Marble Screw Max Sparkle in the span of the same fight. As Luminous is shown later in the franchise being on par with Black and White, she obviously catches up with them. As for full power New Dark King, he was only equaled by the resurrected Queen of Light, and beaten by the Cures working with her, Luminous saying there was no other way. So full power New Dark King and resurrected Queen of Light skill well above what would have been a even stronger Extreme Luminario Sparkle. I know that's the attack they used to beat him, but that was with Luminous as part of the Queen. Keep that in mind. Now onto the All-Star films. How much stronger do the Cures get here? Seasons worth of growth. Each All-Star film has the new team only just starting out, with the films usually being released around episodes 6 to 9. Said new team helps out in the film, then goes on to experience a whole season's worth of powering up, and yet the older teams are still able to fight alongside them, or are superior to them. That means they at least experience those same boosts in power. This even applies to crossovers they aren't in, as Black and White weren't in Dreamstars or Superstars, but appeared in Hugto 3 separate times, and each time were portrayed as being stronger than the Hugto Cures. All the growth of each season, surpassing their own special attacks, going beyond their own transformations, losing to an enemy only to defeat a far stronger foe, every new power achieved. There is even an entire episode dedicated to Elena and Madoka breaking their limits, and it scales to every cure. I'm not going to cover the growth from each season as that would take forever, so what I'm going to do is go over the few times where a multiplier has actually been stated for growth, and then cover 2 notable power boosts in the All-Star films. In Heartcatch Precure, the Desert Apostle Generals get the Dark Bracelets, which amp them and the Desert Trian. Caesarina is given the other Dark Bracelets for a total of 3, resulting in 3 times the power of darkness. The Cures couldn't do anything to this enhanced Desert Trian except for their final group attack, the Heartcatch Orchestra. The Cures would scale above this 3 times multiplier from the following. Cure Flower, who easily beat a Desert Trian who had the power of the 2 generals, and thus 2 Dark Bracelets, meaning it would have similar power to Caesarina's. Cure Flower is taken down without much effort by a Dune who still had his power sealed, and then the main Heartcatch team faces off against a Dune with his powers unsealed. In Doki Doki Precure, the Blood Ring Selfish are stated to be 10 times stronger and 5 times faster than the regular Selfish. Hey, there's that power division I mentioned way back at the beginning of the video. Anyway, the Doki Doki Cures scale well above this, as Cure Diamond in base unintentionally one-shotted a Blood Ring Selfish, and they still had over 10 episodes left to grow. You could also say they have an over 5 times boost post-series. Their result form was what they initially used to beat the combination Selfish, which are stated to be 5 times stronger than a normal Selfish. So it should be around that much of an increase, and it should also apply to speed, as we saw them get faster. The Cures thought the only way to beat Proto-Selfish was to transfer all their powers and the power of the Sacred Treasures to Cure Heart, meaning Proto would be well over 5 times. As I mentioned earlier, base Cures fought him and won in All-Stars. Putting those multipliers together, and overall the Doki Doki Cures, with the exception of Cure Ace as her base scaled to the result form, getting over 50 times stronger and over 25 times faster.
Whole lot of
Finally,
pink.
In Hookto Precure, we have Ruru stating that Kesean and Listel's current power exceed Dr. Trum's by orders of magnitude. For those who need a reminder of what that means, an order of magnitude is an order of 10. So, 10, 100, 1000, etc. As Ruru said orders, that means at bare minimum they were 100 times stronger than Dr. Trum. This isn't a hyperbolic statement, as Ruru is an android whose specialty is analyzing things, and Dr. Trum, her creator, agrees with her assessment. So Kesean and Listel individually would be about 50 times stronger than Dr. Trum. Do the Cures scale to this? Yes, though not to the full 50. Probably more like 40 times stronger for them. While Trum would always use mechas or wild Oshamidas, it is directly stated that Trum's first Berserker Rampage back in the 2-parter crossover that temporarily got all the Cures was caused by Trum using his own Toge power and growing in strength. So his power can be compared to the Cures at that time, even if he is weaker, hence the Cures not receiving the full 50 times. With the numbers out of the way, let's head into All-Stars proper with the 2 big boosts. The first one comes from the first DX film in regards to Fusion. Fusion, before absorbing any power from the Cures, is stated a threat to all the fairies' homeworlds, including fairies from the Garden of Light. This is continued later when Meppel refers to Fusion as unlike anything we fought before, to which Meppel follows up by saying she can sense a terrible power from him. The indication is that Fusion surpassed End of Maxheart Dark King and Queen of Light. Then comes the Fresh Cures, who in this film are the newest and weakest of the Cures. Not only can they face this Fusion, but they can actually affect Fusion after he's absorbed attacks from the Maxheart, Splash Star, and Yes 5 Cures. The final boost is one from DX2 to DX3. In DX2, the Dark Minions were overpowering the Cures and then receive an amp. Said amp allowed Kentalowski to easily overpower Cure Black, who had just equipped the Sparkle Bracelets. Jump over to DX3, where the minions and their amp should be stronger since they were made by the guy who made the big bad of DX2, and yet the Sweet Cures, at the time the weakest Cures, won their beam struggle without much trouble. So, a boost well over the power of the Sparkle Bracelets, and you'll recall just how strong I said that should be. And that's it. I sure went over a lot, didn't I?
You sure
I
did.
made this video as it gave me the opportunity to share the things I love. With some of the feats I mentioned, like moving the stars in the Maho manga, it would be interesting to see how each season stacks up when you don't account for All-Stars, which I know some people do. I don't think I'll do individual power scaling videos for them, except maybe whatever the current season is if I feel.
They'll say, yeah, you should. You probably shouldn't, since there's like a shit ton of them. Like, goddamn. And a lot of them is pink. I think that's my only problem with it, is that it was like pink all the time. But that's the end of this video. Or is it? Yeah. Shit. This is like that the whole time. But it's alright. I wouldn't personally watch it. I'll stick to my Dragon Ball Z. This got too much colors going on. Hopefully, I don't know why I say that, cause the direction Dragon Ball Z going into, they doing the same shit. I mean, it's made by or a couple. I'm not gonna get into this. See you guys later. Bye.